Hi everyone, this is Pierrick from P2design in this more specific tutorial for KnuckelHead on Community Cookie. Just click the link if you want to follow its thread. He asked how to create Akuma's necklage and how to shade it. So I decided to make some tutorials about it to help him, and it might be interesting for everyone. So I will upload the two texture we will be using to create this. It's based on an handmade necklage that already exists. You can see the picture here, and we want to be able to get to this result. Here this is not the final render because we don't have variation in the wooden pattern. And in this first tutorial we will just cover how to create the first sphere of the necklage. Let's get started. So I will start with a simple UV sphere. We will rotate it on the y-axis so that we have both poles on the x-axis. Just go into edit mode, select one side, delete everything, add a mirror modifier with x-axis and clipping. Why it doesn't work here? Oh, I need to apply the rotation. Once I have made it rotating on the y-axis, press Ctrl A, apply rotation and scale, so that it has reset the rotation axis of this sphere, and the X is following the world coordinates. Now in edit mode I will just delete this, select this loop, alt right click, extrude it on the X axis, E to extrude and X to constrain it on the X axis until it clip here. Then we will select this edge loop, alt right click, Control B to have the bevel. Then you can increase the size like this, and with the mouse wheel just add one loop here so that we have this nice beveling effect. We'll add a subdivision modifier. We'll apply the mirror modifier, make sure it is on top of this stack, because if you don't you may have trouble like this here because the sphere is subdivided then mirrored. Okay, let's apply it. Now we have our sphere done. We will get it into smooth shading and we will place it just a little up here, and we will add our lightning properties. So I will just add a simple plane, scale it, Control I, rotate and scale, go inside view, extrude these to make a slice curvature here, like this. Okay. We'll add just a loop, Control R, and move it here, and another one here, because we will add a subdivision modifier, and you see it makes this strange thing. If I delete this, you see that we have this round shape here we don't want. So adding a supporting edge loop here will just make it as we want. So this is our backdrop. We will now move this. I like to separate the shaded object and the environment on different layers. So let's just move it on the next layer here. Activate it, shift click here. Add some lightning, a plane. So lately I've found some nice tutorial about creating lightning studios, so we will try to make kind of the same. First we'll create a large plane here with an emission shader. So you go into shader, add a new shader, select emission, and we will border Control B the view of the rendering viewport and press Shift Z so that we have an idea of what's happening. So here I have this nice reflection on the top and smooth shadows here. We will add another plane on the side like this, align with the sphere. We will add a new emission shader with a slightly bluish color. So this is not super accurate. Okay, I'm just making some interesting reflection on it. Okay, so blue, white, and we will add a warmer color here. So we will duplicate this, Shift D on the X-axis, rotate it, and don't forget to create another material here, clicking the plus button here. So it's the 5th one, because if you don't and edit the shading, as it has the same shader as this one, you will be editing both shaders at the same time. So now I have my bluish and yellowish color here. Okay. And we will just add an area lamp to have some direction to our lightning. So I'm placing it like this. It will be kind of our key light. Okay, front view. So here the shadow is really sharp. I want it to be more soft. So you just have to increase the size. The smaller is really sharp shadow. The biggest, like 1, makes really smooth shadows here. So 0.5 will be nice. Okay, we have our sphere here. We will now go into shading. So if we have a look here to the picture, the reference picture, we can see that we have mainly patterns in this way, but also in this way. On the first example, I just taken liberty to make one-way pattern of wooden. But what is really interesting is this gradient color here, from a dark color on the poles of the sphere to a lighter color here. So we will go into step by step to analyze everything and put those color together, and we can see we have slight bumpiness of the wood. I believe it is really subtle because it has been handcrafted here, then varnished, and the layer of varnished will slightly fill the holes that make this bumpiness. So we won't push it as it was pure wood. Let's add a new material. We will call this Akuma necklage wood. I've already created a shader, and we will for the example you've seen here, and we will just try to make the same. So let's go into the node editor, into the object, and we start with this. So for this shader, I just used 2 different maps. This one to make the bumpiness, and also to isolate some of the color, and this one, a tileable texture I got on CG texture. Let's get started. First, I'm using the Node Wrangler add-on, which is available on the trunk of Blender. Just go here, add-ons, press WR and here, not regular. Really cool. So we will add first our texture setup. So I just have to click here and it will add the good shader directly here. So what interests me for the first option is this. We will use generate. We will add a gradient texture where it is here. We will jump into render mode, control shift click to have a viewport rendering of this last thing. That's the really cool stuff about Node Wrangler. Let's add a converter, a color ramp. We plug it here, turn it to B-spline, and what we want is we are facing the object here. This is using a generated position, but as our sphere is aligned with the world space, that's really easy to see that it goes from x to x, minus x to positive x. So we just have to move this here, add another one, put the white in the middle, and this one here, give it a black texture, and you see when I'm facing the object I have those. So now we just need to give them the same value. So from 0 to 1, let's try 0.2 for this one, 0.5 for this one, and 0.8 for this one. So now I have a nice gradient from left to right. Okay, that's the first thing. Then here we will also use the same coordinates generated, and we will open our wood tiled texture and control shift click to see what's happening. Okay, so here I don't want those stripes to be in this way, I want them to be facing us. So we need it to be rotated on the z-axis like this of 90 degrees, and here I have what I want. So that's fine. Okay. Next thing will be to project our dragon face or whatever it is on this sphere. So for me the best way is just to use a simple UV map. To do so, we will project from view this face, but not the complete sphere, because if we do so, the face will appear here, the dragon face here, and also on the back mirror, and we don't want this. So to isolate the part I want to be texture, I just select a loop here, hide them, hide those 1, 2, and with L select this face, U, project from view. Now I unhide everything, select everything, go in the UV image editor. I can see my map here. We will source our burning head here and just scale this properly. Okay, and try to align the middle line with the middle of the nose here, and try to figure where is the middle of this character. I believe more here, like this. And we should have, okay, these dots here are all the other faces that hasn't been correctly unwrapped, but we can put them on the gray background. It's a 0.5 value gray background, so that I'm sure it won't affect the bump map, because 0.5 it's the normal surface. When it's getting darker, it will digging the surface, and white it will making bumping out. So here I put them here, and I'm okay with this. So let's get back to render viewport here, reopen the node editor, duplicate this, we'll plug the UV, now we have a UV, open here, open here the burning head, Control Shift click, and now I can see it is rotating, which is really weird. Let's figure out why. Oh, yeah, because I have duplicate this one, okay, and we have a rotation here, just to get rid of it. So now I have my head projected properly on the sphere, so I have everything, wooden pattern, gradients, and this burning head color. So now we need to try to combine those things. So first, let's work on the wooden color here. Control Shift click here. We will add a color RGB curve. Okay. Plug it here. Add a color mix RGB. Okay. So this is our first color, the lighter one. We will make it, Control Shift click, lighter here. So this will be the inside, the middle color of the wood. Duplicate this one, plug it here, and now let's make the darker color. So Control Shift click to see the results. We will make this little down. Okay, really contrasted here. That's right. And now we will use our color ramp as a factor to mix those both color. So let's just plug those here. And I think that will be inverted. That's it. Because white is mixing this value and black this value. Okay, so I just need to invert those, and now I have my base color like this. And if we plug this into the diffuse shader, Control Shift click, I have my base wooden pattern. Okay, so all of this is cool. We now need to add the burning head. So what's happening is that we will have this color slightly darkened by this. So we will have an RGB curve here. Add another mix color. Just get rid of this. And here I want it to be way darker. Something like this. Okay. Mixed with the original color here. And as a factor we will use this, our face. We will just add a color ramp, converter color ramp, because I want to have pure black and pure white. So we'll just push this here. Now it's pure black, and this one also will move it like this. Okay, so that the gray turn to white. And we will use this as a factor for our color here, and that's it. Okay, so that's a bit too sharp here. I will slightly move this like that, and I have this nice blurry effect that will be close to something that is undefined, like something that has been burnt. So now we need to play with our bumpiness. So we won't plug this directly into a bump node, because it will be hard to play with the depth of the separated things. So let's just use this. So here we have our color for the end. And we will add a vector, a bump map here, a bump, sorry, and we will use this again. Till with UV. I'm separating it. I could use the same one, but that's for a matter of comprehension or an organization, because we will have another node here. So that's better to have two parts, one for the color here and now one for the bumpiness. So we will use our wooden texture also. I have no, not UV generated. Okay. I have my wooden texture and my head here. So how to mix them? What I like to use for the bump map is grayscale colors, because we are only interested by the values, not the color. So I will add the color ramp here to be spline. For the time being, doesn't change really anything, but it will allow me to play on the contrast of this. Okay, and here I have my face. So if I mix them like this, I got this. So first of all, I want to multiply this wooden value to this purely soft sphere with this really bumpy digging shape. So if I try multiply, I can add the value here of the wooden onward this. If we try overlay, that might be a little more interesting, because overlay will also add the white part here. While with multiply we only darken the thing, here we both darken and make it whiter. So let's just test this value. Let's plug it into the 8 of the bump, click, and you can see that I have really this diving effect here, digging effect, this crazy, and this surface, which is a bit strong. But I would like to also have a wood pattern inside this part. So we will add another color, mix RGB. I don't remember exactly how I've done it before, so please be patient. I think I had another multiply or something. No, maybe overlay or simple mix, probably. Yeah, simple mix. So here I have my original shape, and we will use really a subtle value here. Okay, just to have the pattern inside. Using this viewer node on the bump is not really the best way to understand the depth of this this bumping. So we will use a shader, a glossy shader, that will be more easy to read. You can like this, put the normal into the normal, Control Shift click and see what's happening. So we see that this is pretty satisfying, but the wooden bumpiness is way too strong, so we just need to decrease this. Okay, it's our first mixing node, so let's try a really subtle value. It's even too strong here, and I like it this way. I think it's okay. So here we have our bumping setup already. Oh, the strength is very high. Maybe a 0. No, 1 was cool, but yeah, pushing it to 1 might not be a good idea, even if it works here. It might be too strong and you have those strange artifact appearing, because Blender try to make it like it's really deep, but the visual aspect is still subtle. So with 0 sex or something, that's looking nice also, and you have less artifact like this. Playing with the distance will allow you to make it kind of deeper, so when you're facing the object it looks obvious for this, but I prefer to limit it to 0.1. I think it's okay. So we have both our color here and our bump here, so let's just mix them. We will use only 2 shaders, the diffuse shader, and we will plug the bump into the normal here, and a glossy shader. We will use a mix shader to mix those both shader again, like this. I put the glossy here because we will use a layer weight and Fresnel effect to drive it, and it's easier to understand that black is the facing part and white is the parallel to the normal here, and it's where the glossiness will be higher. So when we will mix, you do remember that black is here and white is here toward the factor. So let's just add input layer weight. I prefer to use facing that than Fresnel. You will plug this here so that it will inherit of the bumpiness. If we don't, it will be flat. Add a converter color ramp with B-spline, which just allow us to have more subtle gradient than the linear or ease. In other cases that could be useful, but I prefer to use this one. Okay. And here we are. Okay, so we have our face and the border here that gets white. So it will allow us to mix those shaders. So we will try to figure out what are our mixing values. So just add color mix RGB, and there was a topic in the community cookie that was open. The problem is that you need to set the value using the RGB. The HSV doesn't work. The real value here is 0.5, while in the value it says it's 0.07. So what we do is we use an input value, duplicate it, and plug them here, so that you have to trigger only one. And also what I have done, I think I have it in my group. Yeah, no, I haven't it, but you can use them and group them to create a mixed value node, for example, but I will keep it clear like this. So let's use a color ramp here. So on the facing value, I want glossiness like 0.1 in the mixing, and on the outside, let's push it to 0.6. So now I have 0.1 here to 0.6 here, and let's plug it here in our mixing shader and see what's happening. So I think that's okay. I have subtle reflections here and probably stronger here, even if I can't see it. So we will just bump a little up those planes. And we also want to play with the roughness of this glossy shader the same way. If we now check the glossiness and the roughness of this glossy value, let's just activate the glossy shader here it's 0.2, which is pretty dual. That can be fine for the facing part, but I believe 0.1 will be better. And if we turn it to 0, we will have a perfect mirror effect. If I get rid of the normal here, we have a mirror sphere. So we will play with those things. So let's just move those final shader here, mix shader here. So here is my glossiness factor. We will duplicate this to create, the roughness factor. We will use the same layer weight. So here I can get rid of this and just plug this one here. And we will change the value. We will first plug this in our glossy roughness. Facing is here, outer is here, so I want the facing value to be 0.1, so that's fine. And the value here to be close to 0, let's try 0.02. And if I get rid of the normal here, you will see that that's subtle, but the more I get close to the edge, the more the value, the roughness is lowered, and we have a clearer reflection, while here it's really dual. Okay, so here and there, and now I have my sphere here shaded, and we have this varnish effect that is really cool here. So finally, let's just change the the glossy color. Here we will use the base color we have here and just make it way lighter, because if you are close to black color, you won't have any reflections. So let's add a color RGB curve, plug our base color here and bump it really high. Oh, I mean the factor in the color here. The dark, let's make it way lighter. So we are close to white, but we do have some color information that will be important to have a more accurate glossy reflection color. Here, here, and we're done. So we can see the difference here. Okay, that's more yellowish, more natural than pure white. You see white like this, it makes this wooden sphere desaturated and less natural than with glossy colored reflections. And that's something I do every time I shade something. Don't use pure white glossy BSDF, and just take the base color and make it way lighter and plug it into the color of the glossy BSDF. That's it for the shading of this sphere. We could add some more maybe glossiness on the edges, but when we will have more the complete necklage, it will looks better, because you will have more different reflection on each different sphere. So one thing I haven't done here for the time being is adding some randomness on the pattern and on the color of the necklage. I will cover this in the next video once you're okay with this first one. So have fun with this video and just post your result in the current topic on CommunityCookie. I will upload the link to KnuckelHead thread.